Welcome to Anti-Ruggers United. Today we have an AMA with Owners Unity token. So let's get started by having you guys introduce yourself, introduce the team, tell us a little bit about background about your personal experience in the real world in crypto and how you guys got together.
Sure. Well, yeah, thank you very much for having us at the Anti-Ruggers United versus Owners Unity token AMA. I'll give you a little bit of background on what Owners Unity is, what we aim to achieve, a little bit about me and the team. But yeah, I'll get straight in with a sort of introduction to the brand. So what is Owners Unity? What do we aim to achieve? So every large and successful business starts with a large problem to solve. And here at Owners Unity, we aim to tackle one of the most urgent problems of them all. So no matter which country or continent you're from, obviously the crypto space and DeFi in general has a very wide audience from every corner of the world. There is a global housing crisis, which is getting worse every day. House prices are skyrocketing. Many of you have personal experience in that, personal knowledge. They're becoming unaffordable and outpacing wage growth. Many projects talk about real world utility and real world impact, but this issue affects us all. In the UK, the Office of National Statistics revealed, as of 2021, the average house price is 65 times higher than it was in 1970, but the average wage has only increased by 36 times. UK house prices rose by over 10.2% in the year 2021, the highest annual growth rate since August 2007. Obviously, over in the pond in the USA, in Cleveland, the average price of a square foot of real estate jumped by over 134% in 5 years, while the average salary only rose 37%. Scott was on a call with me yesterday, and he was watching NBC, and there was a consumer finance company called Bankrate, and they revealed that a new mortgage rate on a $400,000 home in the USA, which on January 1st would have been around $1,700 per month. Today, yesterday, as of June 15th, would have been an additional $600 a month, or $580 if you want to be precise. You know, if families can't find this money out of nowhere. This is unsustainable. This onslaught will leave millions of families around the world being unable to afford their home. And this is where Owners Unity come in. And the message is simple. Everyone has the right to a decent standard of living. Everyone has the right to a decent standard of home. So how do we look to achieve that? Owners Unity is essentially decentralized finance meets real estate. We aim to revolutionize the way that the world provides affordable property. I want you to picture the scale of this project and what we're aiming to achieve. I want you to picture a project that's helping families all over the planet, not just in Europe, not just in central London, but obviously in the USA, in developing markets in Asia, in Africa, all while providing a solid investment for token holders. But what does this mean for buyers and homeowners? So several things. We broke down all of the problems we saw with the current system. That was access to be able to get the old mortgage system, the cost of the home, how long it takes to pay off these mortgages. We looked at all these systems and came up with a plan. So for homeowners, it means abandoning the old mortgage system in place for our Owners Unity payment program. So the word mortgage it comes from the French, and it means death pledge. We think that's crazy because your property and your home where you live, it should be about life, not death, not a ball and chain around your neck. It should be about celebration and family and all the happy things in life. And that's what we aim to do. So we're actually changing the credit check system. So yes, we do a small credit check system, but there's many people get turned away who can otherwise afford a home. What instead we do is an affordability check. So we had one, actually it was a host of an AMA a couple of months back, and basically in his 30s, had a great job, good sort of good amount coming into the bank, but because he had a medical bill, this was in the USA, because he had a medical bill in his 20s that he was unable to meet, obviously no fault of his own, he was unable to get a mortgage. Now we think that's crazy. In many places from the USA to the UK, you know, people will be paying £1,200, £1,000 a month in rent, but yet are turned down for a mortgage that might only be £350 or £400 a month. Now, we think that's absurd. So that's why we emphasize the affordability check, so people can be matched with homes that they can afford. Yeah, and as I said, you know, if you can prove that you've been paying for that for 6 to 12 months, then, you know, why can't you be given a sort of decent standard of home rather than being stuck in the rental trap? It also means lower entry for deposits. We don't believe you should have to, you know, rent for 3, 4, 5, 6 years just to pull together a deposit to secure a mortgage. We don't believe that's right. We also, through our rewards for homeowners and unique tokenomic system, which Scott will go into soon, we also help to reduce the standard 30-year mortgage down to a fraction of that through the owner's unity payment system. So hopefully that's a little bit of an outline of the project. Briefly moving on to the team, we'll put together a strong bunch of directors and advisors with a wealth of experience from all the relevant sectors, from blockchain, tokenomics, real estate, construction, and finance. In the chat, we have Simon Henderson, who's been involved in management for 25 years and property management for over 18 years. He's also spearheading and developed a fantastic CRM that we'll use within the company for property portfolio management. We've also got on board Barry McGinn, who has 15 years in property development. He's involved with the $500 billion Saudi Arabian Neon development and the Red Sea project. His big background in major capital delivery across 5 continents. And of course, we have Scott Shearer, the founder, who has decades of experience in energy, renewable energy management, and as well, of course, the blockchain. And I will pass it over to him. I think I've been rambling for a little bit now, just on my own. So I'll pass him over and he can run you down why he set up the project and his thoughts behind it.
Yeah, hi. I think first we should continue with the introduction. Simon can tell you a bit about himself. I've run a business since 2013. I've been involved in multiple different levels of construction and business all my life. I've been in and around real estate my entire life. My best friend from childhood bought his first property at 18, and he now has a portfolio. That's Shay. So if you want to scroll down on the down there, Shay Taylor. Yeah, I've known him most of my life. He's got a portfolio still. Just spent years discussing what's wrong with the current system on and off. Obviously, when we started, it was a 20-year mortgage on average. Now it's 30 years on average, and there's no real reason for it except for people gouging the way we see it. People just wanting to make more profit. I've been involved in crypto since 2019. I got involved with Cardano first of all, so that's basically my short history. Simon, do you want to talk about yourself?
Yeah, I started off in the construction industry initially for a few years, and then moved into the estate agency business here in England, the UK. And I've been in that now for coming up 19 years nearly now. It's 18 initially when we did this, but coming up to 19 years. Started off at the very base as a negotiator, worked my way up to being a manager of various things, and then the chief valuator for areas. And after which I decided that it was time to go by myself. I now run a letting agency here in the northeast of England. And that's it, really.
Yeah, the rest of the team are on the website. We're based globally, so it's pretty difficult for everyone to be on an AMA at one time. I think Rupraj might be about. I'm not sure if he managed to get in here.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, do you want to let them know a bit about yourself, buddy?
Sure. Hi guys. I'm actually new joining for the team. I'm based out of India. I'm actually a IT professional. I'm AWS Amazon Cloud Certified Solution Architect. I'll be handling the Asia business for the team. So apart from that, I have been an advisor for a lot of crypto projects, help them in their business strategies, and going and having a good marketing plan for them.
Okay, thanks, buddy. If it's okay, T-Bot.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So most of you guys are from the UK, right? You said you're a global team, but I feel like some of you are all from the not all, but some of you are from the UK, right?
Yeah, Australia.
Yeah, we've got. I'm currently in Asia right now. A huge proportion of the team are from Australia, including a lot of the mods. So we're ticking every time zone off, which sometimes can make it quite difficult to get on these everyone at once on the AMAs.
So you guys had previous experiences working together in projects or individually, like any notable projects?
I've not run any other projects or been involved at any level outside of investor with other projects.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I know you briefly talked about the mortgage and like a little bit about the project. You want to do like do you have like a sales pitch or like a pitch deck or anything you want to go over, like kind of like a overall scope of what you guys are trying to accomplish, like a 5-minute elevator pitch?
Yeah, if you look at the documents, if you click on the documents on the end there where you are, buddy, and then scroll down, it should have pitch deck. There you go. This was done at the very beginning. We've had some assistance from other CEOs of other companies, so we've evolved slightly from when that was first put together. But basically, the goal, as Paul said, is to everyone. Our two core principles are everyone has the right to a decent standard of living, and everyone has the right to a decent standard of home. And obviously, the reason why we exist is the housing price increase, stagnant wages, and the difficult credit checks and the non-human aspect of them. It's all done on algorithms, so they don't take any of the human aspect in. And especially in the current economic climate, there's a lot of people because of the pandemic that have adverse credit ratings now. And the amount of stories we hear is incredible. One of our another CEO that I've been speaking with received a parking ticket, and he didn't know anything about it because in the UK you don't have to receive a recorded delivery notification. So a judgment was made against him by default. And even though he's appealed it and he's won that case, it still adversely affected him, and he can't get a mortgage. And there's nothing else on his credit file that would be adverse to him getting a mortgage. So the reason we're here is to try and return the power to the consumer, which I think is key. It's swung too far the other way. The key selling points for us with regards to a client, so the end user, we're looking to give everyone the chance to get on and climb the housing ladder by utilising less prescriptive conditions to bring them on board. And clients can clear the balance quicker than using the current conventional methods. They can also improve their own wealth and have a little bit of extra financial security. That's what we would consider the key selling points for the clients. For people that invest in our project, the reward system, because we reward the stakers and the holders using our reward system. We're looking to reduce the risk during market volatility due to the way that the hybrid formation of our business model works. So there's an interlink between the real company, the real world utility, and also the crypto. So they work together, but they are also separate. And we believe the twin nature of our reward system offers additional security for our clients. We've got anti-whale dumping mechanisms, anti-whale and dumping mechanisms, built into our token. We are also putting our smart contract and our liquidity into a third-party lock-in contract with Everrise Everown. And the only way that anyone will be able to access them is through a community vote, because we're very community-driven. Obviously, we've been audited, and we have a KYC gold certificate from Reflect Finance. So we're going to be launching on them as well. And basically, any decision or anything that impacts on the community will be voted on by the community, including clients that go through the application process for our product. We have also looked at Shield Coin, but we need to actually be trading and have 3 months of data to be considered to get on board with them, which is something we do. We're very focused on being community-based, and in England we have an expression called a cooperative, and that's what we're trying to be. We are the current custodians of the concept, but it belongs to everyone. So nothing is written in stone and finished. So with regards to the mission statement, we want to aim to increase global home ownership, and obviously that's our main aim with regards to where we intend to go.
Okay. All right. So how will you accomplish this global home ownership? Because I mean, that's probably something that even governments can't solve. I mean, look at the homeless crisis. You know, like I'm actually from California, so I know firsthand. You know, my city, San Francisco, LA, the homeless problem is crazy. People can't afford homes over here. Prices going up, while the income is not going up and relative to the price. So how could, like, if the government can't solve it, how are you guys planning to solve this issue?
Yeah, well, is it a case of the government can't solve it or the government doesn't want to solve it? So that would be my first point. Secondly, I think it's just about re-education. We need to step back and take a look at ourselves and what it is we truly want to achieve as a species. You know, whilst we're all focusing on ourselves and our own wealth, we're ignoring that we didn't get to this point without working together. Barry, who's part of our team, has a very good expression. It's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So if we can get people on board, there are enough like-minded people out there that actually want to make a difference. And if we can work together, of course we can make change. But it's about re-education and about using our combined knowledge and our combined wealth to actually raise people up, and to do it without climbing over the back of each other to achieve our goals. We can do it by helping each other up, and everyone can put themselves in a better position. It doesn't have to be dog eat dog.
So it's just education and that's it, or is there going to be some kind of financial help? What will you guys actually do? Let's say 3 years down the line, where are you hoping to be at? Like, how are you actually providing these like benefits? For example, reduce homelessness, reduce poverty. Because the thing is, just because someone knows how to get out of poverty or how to not be homeless doesn't mean they actually want to or willing. Like, the issue with homeless people, a lot of them are on drugs, and even if you offered them help, they're going to refuse. Or because they don't want to be controlled. I mean, there's plenty of homeless shelters, but they don't want to even stay there, because if you're going to be there, you got to follow the rules. So it's not just as simple as, even showing people how to do. And even if you do know exactly what to tell them, most people will not listen. So there's like a lot of issues. You know, it's not just simply as just educating, you know, the masses. I mean, at least that's my opinion.
No, I agree. It's nothing is simple, and you can't help everyone, can you? But there are people out there that do want help. We're not living in a fairy tale reality. Some people don't want help. Some people will try and break a system or drag a system down. All we can do is try and reach the people that do want help. You'll never eradicate homelessness. You'll never eradicate poverty, but you can reduce it. And that's all we're trying to do, is reduce it. And the way we do that is by utilising the owner's unity payment plan, put that system in place and offer it to people. And when we put people in properties, the first people we're going to help won't be the homeless, because we're not in a position to do that. What we need to do, and our first goal, and this, I have to, make this absolutely clear. This is, everyone sitting here in this AMA will be long gone by the time this project, if it goes how we want it to go, actually reaches a global market and makes a significant change. It's not a short-term policy and a short-term project. We have a concept. We are the current custodians of that concept. It belongs to everyone, and as we move forward, everyone can have input and guide it forward, because it will be voted on by the community. And we have a plan in place, and we have tokenomics in place that will help people who currently should be getting onto the property ladder but can't because of the current system and the current structure, and we will get them onto the property ladder. We will then use the funds. So the profits that we make from the real world company will be redistributed between our token holders through reward system, and also will be given some back to the actual client, the end user who's sitting in the property. And we will use additional parts of that in the tokenomics to build affordable housing. We've got all of the formulas in plan to make it possible, but it's going to take time. There is no quick fix. You don't have a global issue and fix it overnight. That's where we're coming from, but someone has to start somewhere, and if you don't start, it never changes.
Okay, so one thing you did say that it's going to be a long-term goal, and I agree. Something like this would be very long-term, years and years in the making. So why would you guys choose to go with BSC space, where it's the opposite of long-term? Like, the projects here mostly don't even last, a month sometimes, and a lot of the investors in here are like pump and dumpers, or they just want to get their 2x. It's not the right type of audience, I don't think, in my opinion. They don't have an attention span of years. They have an attention span of days, sometimes hours. I'm not talking about like us, but I'm saying the whole community, the whole BSC space as a whole. And then also your roadmap, with all these goals, the roadmap is only the short-term roadmap, which is looks like it's just for the token itself. Is nothing for like the long-term aspects of it. So this
that's
So it's just token, basically the token stuff, right? Without any of the actual use cases yet.
No, but obviously this is the pitch deck. The white paper has got some different information in there. We also, as we move forward, we will add to the roadmap. The first part of this project, hence the pitch deck, is putting together the token and getting the token working. With regards to the attention span of the people, again, I think it's a mix. You'll get some people that are in it for the long haul. You'll get some people that are just, day traders. And we like to think that we've got a kind of balance in there that will entice people to day trade, but it will also entice people to hold with the token. And obviously, we will look to go cross-chain, and we will look to spread out and hopefully bring other ecosystems on board. But the main point is to get the adoption of crypto into the real world and actually have a use case that your everyday person can utilize and see how crypto benefits them. If we can do that and we can bring across a greater adoption, then this space will fill up and it won't be so much of an issue. Everyone in here and everyone in this AMA, we're all still here early. You know, there's a long way to go to get the adoption of crypto into the mainstream. And no disrespect, most of the projects aren't even attempting to do that. There are some out there that are, and they're commendable, but no one's actually going out there and showing your average person how crypto impacts them in their everyday life and how it helps them. You know, housing is one of the major things that everyone needs in their life. If you can take crypto and utilize it and show a use case and a benefit for real world people, it can only do good for all of us in our space. And I think as we move forward and the adoption becomes greater, then the whole consensus on crypto will change. And then maybe hopefully people will be looking at crypto as a greater investment opportunity than a lot of people do now.
All right. So I noticed this right here on the white paper. Return allocation for $500 payment. Is this kind of like expected returns of an investment for an investor?
It's a formula and a calculation that was put together based on a $500 monthly payment. And if you look at the bottom, if you scroll down, you should see, due to the asterisk, what period of time that's based on.
Okay, so it's 500% over 10 years, so about 50% a year, right? So,
yes.
I put in $500 as an investor.
No, this is the client. This is the client. So the monthly payment of a client, for instance, if they pay $500 a month for the property, then that is the expected returns based over a 10-year period.
Okay. Can you go over that? Because I'm curious about this part right here, the short-term goals. You have a build-up product accessible on all devices, launch industry's first crypto-based deflationary property token. And with the clients, can you like tell us about what all this means and what the clients will do? Like, what product are you selling? Because you're saying it's education and it's to help the homeless and help people get property, but you also have a product. So how does this all work?
Okay, well, the product itself is what will help drive us to achieve our goals. So if we build an ecosystem and we bring in more revenue streams, we can then direct more of that revenue into dealing with the greater issues of homelessness and poverty. But first of all, we need to build a product and make that product accessible. Part of that is the token, then it will be the ecosystem that comes around that token. So all of the normal areas you would expect a token to move into. So metaverse, NFT marketplace, launchpad, etc. All of those areas to build additional revenue streams. So therefore those revenue streams can then be divided and increase the funding for the other areas. So that's the product, and available on all devices is obviously to make it available on the on your laptops, on your phones, you know, on the internet, and globally available. The industry's first crypto-based deflationary property token, I think, speaks for itself. I don't think there's another property token out there. So to start with, we will obviously be fiat-based for the end user, because we don't want to scare the end user away from our product. Because in honesty, and I hope you can all appreciate this, your average person has a pretty dim view of crypto, because all they see is people on YouTube or the odd advert saying I put $50 into a project and now I'm a multi-millionaire. and it only took me 2 days. So it's unrealistic. And then obviously you get all the FUD from your mainstream news outlets because obviously, they don't want crypto to be a success. But that's the basis around the token, and grow our client base and investors is I think it speaks for itself. We need a larger client base because the more clients we put into properties, the more revenue we bring in, the more people we put in homes, the more people we can help.
All right. So when is this product going to be available?
Well, part of the product is I'll hand over to Simon to run through with you. Basically, we've got a CRM system that's in beta, which Simon has been developing. It's a CRM system that we can use ourselves, but it can also be used as an additional revenue stream by being leased out to other organisations. We're also looking to build on it as well. And make it accessible for crypto markets in some aspects of what we're planning to do with it. So that's one aspect of it. The main product is it will be available when we've got the funds to put people in situ. We've got some funds, but obviously we're out here trying to get enough funds in to get started without having additional leverage, etc., and going through all of the problems that a lot of projects go through because they're so money orientated that they're willing to do deals with the devil just to get their project out there. We're not prepared to do that. An early piece of advice I received from a CEO who's also a member of this group was, you don't come out fully formed. He used the pumpkin farm as an analogy and said, you don't buy a farm with all of the pumpkins ripe and ready to harvest. You get your farm started, then you plant your seeds and you grow from there. In the current market, it's changed our outlook slightly. When we first discussed this and went through it, we could have put people in properties within 3 months if we gained the funding that we wanted, because we've been through all of the compliance in the UK. We've spoken to the regulatory bodies and we're good to go in the UK. The other members of the team who you haven't had the chance to speak to yet, but we do have 4 very good guys in America who work in the real estate and in the other adjacent fields that are necessary for us to be successful there. They're also in on this AMA. I tried to get T-Bot to talk earlier, but he wasn't quite ready. So we've got the seeds in place to go when we need to go, but it's up to the community. We put everything to a vote. So first of all, we've got to get the clients in. We get the applications, we go through the applications. Once the decision's been made on where we are taking the clients from, then we look at compliance in those areas. If there is an issue with compliance, then we will stick to the areas where we know we are already compliant and move forward from there. 3 month is a best case scenario if all of the stars aligned and everything drops into place. 12 months is a realistic outlook in the current market environment. But I'll let Simon walk you through the CRM beta so you can see what we've got and what we can bolt onto.
Hi guys. Yeah, so in the background with the running the estate agency, I've been looking at varying ways over the last few years in which we can actually benefit tenants and landlords to make things much more simpler moving forward. So I'm in the process of building this particular system. All these are just little accounts and properties that we've put together to test the system to make sure it's working. It is in its final stages now, but just to give you an example, any properties that we have, we can add into this portfolio. And as you can see, we're testing accordingly a number of properties just to see where we go from that particular point. Tenants can be added into the system as well, as you can see there. Services or any general requests, any maintenances that we need to do on a particular property. I'll just click into this for now because we've just been testing this more recently than not. So I would receive a message from the tenant to say there's an issue at the property. I would then message my service provider. This one, as you can see, we'll look at the message thread, and you can see what this particular gentleman does and what I need him to do. Obviously, see at the bottom, price is 0 because again we're just testing, but all the messages can be put into there. So we'll start from the beginning again. So 1 Hatherley Square, for example, here I've got a particular tenant in this property. She's paying £430 per month. She's been in for this duration. So we'll manage the property. In there, I can put any notes, any updates necessary. But more importantly here, there's your servicing requests. And you can see there was one posted recently. If I wanted to put another post through, I could do that. But I could then decide which particular person I required to go and sort that problem out, all the way down the board. So from a Sparky, electrician, gardening, gas, general DIY, whatever it may well be, they're all there for a purpose. I can put the job description in, the tenant's contact number, so that particular maintenance gentleman can actually contact them and arrange an appropriate time and date to turn up to fix the problem. If it was a major leak, for example, and I need a plumber immediately, I could click the urgent button and invite him straight away. Now what this would do, it would actually email him immediately to turn up because they would be registered to this particular system. If it's just a general repair, I can put it out to the public, as in all of those maintenance guys that are on this particular portfolio that do that particular job. So if my maintenance gentlemen were all joiners, for example, we use that one instead of Sparkies for a change, we're all joiners, it would go to all of them to give me a rough idea and a rough quote of what it was, so that my landlords or ourselves could ensure that we were getting the best price for what the job was and we're not getting overcharged. Here, the tenants can inform me and send me pictures of what is actually going on, which will help reduce the price or keep the price correct for all the landlords that I have on board or for ourselves moving forward, if that makes any sense to you. More importantly, with law, you have to adhere to the regulations that are inputted upon you. So here in the UK, by law, we need to have an electrical safety check, an EICR. Every year you have to do a gas safety check or a CP12. Every property also needs to have an energy performance certificate. So all these can be uploaded accordingly and put into the filing cabinet and allocated to that particular property. Now every single tenant that is on board has access to this so that they can see this. This therefore moving ourselves forward stops from an agency perspective having to continually print out all the documentations, and we're talking lots of paperwork, lots of ink. It's just there for them in a nutshell, the click of a button. And this is the purpose of this. This is what I've termed it as. It's everything I do here now is the click of a button for all parties, be it a landlord, be it the agent, be it the tenant. Not only that, back into the portfolio, I'll click again on 1 Hatherley. Here we have a list of all the tenancies for this particular person, name associated at the top, as you can see, what the arrears may well be, all across the board, and all the payments that are coming in, whether it's by tenant card, is it cash, all of this we can do. So if I go to add a payment, you can put the payment amount, the date it came in, and what the method of was. Obviously this will change to add the online currencies.
Okay, so this landlord's kit, this website you're showing, that's your what you guys are having right now, right? That's kind of like to help manage properties, right?
Correct. But not only will it just manage the properties, it gives everybody an overview of everything from a legal perspective too. And I'm just about to get to that. So we've gone into accounting for a purpose. So not only would it work from an agent's perspective or a landlord's perspective, it would work from a maintenance guy's perspective as well. And the reason being, you can report all your expenses, your incomes, your profit, your loss, your schedule. But this bottom one is imperative. You can manage accountant access. So everybody in business has an accountant on board. Every job you therefore do through this toolkit will allow you at the end of the tax year to grant your accountant access, and all of your invoices, everything will be there for them to see. You therefore do not have to mess on with having to give them all the paperwork, etc., etc. It's there in a nutshell. Everything is here, literally at the click of a button. Yeah. You see here in the top right as well. Obviously, this needs to be minimized because it's still being tested. All of these aren't going to be there. We need to get these down to a selective 6 or 7. But you can see it's letting me know, and all of these ping me emails that are in red to let me know that this is happening in the next 30 days. So I'm aware of what we need to do in time to keep things legally correct and right for everybody across the board. So I've got 15 tenancies at the top here, for example, expiring in the next 30 days. I've got all of these arrears. Well, why are these happening? I need to get these resolved. There's no maintenance requests, but I've got 2 applications pending. So we'll click onto this because this is interesting. Anybody that is interested in a property that we might have on board, or they're interested in purchasing, we need their information to still make sure that A, they can afford it, and B, they are, shall we say, initially an upstanding citizen too. So the types of paperwork, because these are all, like I say, beta, they're just made up. But here we go. We've got little bits of information here of national insurance numbers, phone numbers, etc. Do they have pets? Are they employed? Who are they employed by? Etc., etc. Where their 5-year history was prior. Everything you would expect to get from a mortgage company if you were applying for a typical mortgage. All your bank statements, IDs, etc. If we agree as a community that this particular gentleman, for example, Jepson, is applicable, yes, we can approve it. If not, and we need more information, we can therefore request a resubmission. If it's no good, then obviously, unfortunately, it will not happen. But it's there deliberately to ensure everything's fine. There's no messages. It lets you know the number of percentage of properties. Everything is there for a purpose. I'm working in the background now, and I haven't got that finished, so I can't even show you, unfortunately. But should we find a particular person that is interested in buying a particular property or would like to look at purchasing a property, we still need to do what we would term as a due diligence. And in that, I mean, what are they looking for? Is it a 2-bed, a 3-bed? Would they prefer a drive, a garden, etc.? Are they working? And from there, they can put that information into this system to allow us to see where they're looking, what they're after, because I have a team of people on board with what I do here, specifically in the northeast of England, that could easily find these particular properties for them that they might be interested in, obviously, moving into. So all of this that I'm doing here can be transferred accordingly into what we are trying to do as the OU moving forward.
Okay, so I still don't really understand completely how all this is going to be accomplished. So let's go talk about the token itself, the tokenomics, the taxes, the sale. So let's start off. Okay, not this one. I think it's in a pitch deck. Okay. So distribution of tokens. Distribution of tokens, right? So I see there's a seed sale, a private sale, and a public sale. Which one has been done so far?
Seed is currently ongoing. We are putting private and public through Reflex.
What is the price? How many tokens you get per BNB? What's the hard cap? What's the maximum contribution?
It's 1.2 million per BNB. The minimum contribution is 0.1. Maximum contribution is 7 BNB in this round. And the reason why it's 0.1 is because we want everyone to have the opportunity to get in at the earliest round. We're trying to do it differently, whereas the people that truly usually support your projects don't get the opportunity to buy in at the earliest stage.
Okay. So 1.1 through 7 BNB, and what is your target for the seed round? Like target.
Yeah, we've hit the soft cap. The soft cap is 100 BNB. The hard cap was 417 BNB. That's the soft and hard cap. The reason why it's 7 is we're trying not to have too many whales if we can help it.
And to get the seed round, is there any specific requirements? Is it whitelist? Do you have to do some kind of vetting process?
Paul?
What?
I was saying Paul could speak.
Yeah, pass it over. And yes, so basically, if you head to the website, which is outoken.org, we have a form on the website where you can register for the pre-sale, for the seed, sorry. Once you have submitted your details, we then pass it to be whitelisted, and then usually Scott will message you to confirm that you've been whitelisted, and from there you can join the seed sale.
Okay. But I don't understand how you're preventing whales, because if a whale really wanted to get in, he'd just do the form multiple times, with different email addresses, different wallet addresses. Like, how is it any how's it going to prevent anyone?
Sorry, Paul, go on.
Yeah, ultimately, if someone, we're going to notice fake emails after a little while, and ultimately they'll need different Telegram accounts too, which is a little bit more difficult. And ultimately, we're not talking millions of pounds, we're talking the max input is 7 BNB, so they really have to do it a lot of times for that to be possible. So yeah, ultimately you could abuse it, but you'll probably notice it pretty quick.
Okay, so that's fine. So 1.2 million tokens per BNB, right?
Correct. Yeah. and then it drops.
What about this
like
one? Yeah, private sale.
Yeah, it roughly drops about 20% every round. So we're going to have a few different rounds. So the next one's down to 1 million, and then the following round will be 800,000 per BNB.
Okay, so and how much? What's the hard cap for this?
You're testing me now, Scott. For the private sale, the hard cap,
like 1,500 BNB or something like that.
Yeah. 2 seconds. I don't think it's that high.
1 second, just going to have to check notes. You caught us out there. So one thing I'm impressed with this AMA, you really sort of go over the details.
I know Sal's the AMA guy, but he's in Australia, so he's not present at the moment.
Yeah, because if that's 1,200, 1,500, because you said this one was about 400, right? Hard cap, 400 or so.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, roughly about 1,100 based on the same ratios. That would be about 1,100, and that's like 2,000 or so for public sale, 2,000 BNB. And when are these happening? When is the private sale happening, and when is the public sale happening?
So the private sale is coming sort of within the next month. Obviously, market conditions is sort of making us reassess, but we're looking to do that within the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks, and then we think by the end of summer for public sale.
Okay. And will any of these be vested? The team tokens, the stake? I mean, obviously not staking, but
sure. Yeah. So obviously we have the gold tier audit. First of all, on the contract, the full team's tokens are vested for 12 months. Yeah. So they're all completely locked with a third party. Scott, do you have the details on the private sale hard cap yet?
Give me a minute, I'll go find the doc.
No problem, pulling up the doc. But yeah, all the team's tokens are vested for 12 months. Also, something that's super interesting about the seed round, there's actually APY on that, so it like accrues interest on the seed investment. I think so many times, when people stake later on, it doesn't really reward the people who are in on the project from day one, and we wanted to reward that. So there's actually APY on the seed and private round, so that's an extra incentive to get involved early.
How much is the APY?
I think it's variable, but I'll check with Scott just to make sure.
It's the normal staking is variable. The vesting staking is fixed, and it will be decided once we have the exact numbers at the end of pre-sale, because hopefully, as you can appreciate, if we have more people involved, then it will be a different APY than if there are, a lower number. So we need to know the exact numbers before we fix the APY, because that's the responsible way to do it. It won't be a crazy number either. We're not talking, silly numbers, because that's not what this project is about. We're looking for long-term stability. The round I have private is 1,250, and the public is 2,812.5.
Okay. All right, so I think I kind of understand what you guys are trying to do. So basically, you're raising a sale to fund the token, and then you're going to have a tax that's going to fund acquisition of properties, and supposedly you'll make income from those properties, and you're going to use that income back into the token as like buybacks and things like that, right? Is that kind of like the general?
It's close enough. It's not exactly that. What we're trying to do is give the community the first opportunity, and then if there is a shortfall, we will fall back to our additional funding methods, because that's just the way that business works. But that is the hard cap on those figures. That's the perfect scenario. We can operate on a lot lower. with regards to what we actually need to get started.
Okay, so one thing I see an issue with already is with the liquidity here, with the 10% liquidity. So you're gonna raise 2,000 BNB from public sale, about 1,000 BNB or so from private sale, 400, 500 BNB or so from seed round. That's assuming you fill the hard caps on all of them. So that's about 30. Let's say about roughly 3,500 BNB will be raised, right? 3,500 BNB will be raised, and that's the equivalent of, let's say, 35, 40%. And basically 1/4 of all those BNBs was going to go to liquidity, a quarter of that. So you're going to raise 3,500 BNB and with a liquidity of 25% of what you raised. So let's say a quarter of the people dump their tokens, then liquidity would literally go to zero, almost to zero, just from a quarter of the tokens being dumped, a quarter of the investors.
I was thinking that we would be putting between 75 and 80% of what was raised from from pre-sale into liquidity, because we had a conversation, like I said, with a member. He's a CEO of another project which is doing well, and he's also a liquidity expert. And we went through this with him, and we've used his suggestion on those figures moving forward on what we would need to put in to the liquidity pool based on these specific figures. So I'm not sure if 25% of pre-sale dumped, especially when they're all vested, I'm not sure how they're going to dump their tokens at launch.
Well, it's not only about launch, it's about over the, because if you want to be like, you're selling yourself as a really long-term project, let's say years and years and years, all these guys are going to get their tokens long before the use case is fully, utilized, or, before you guys are really doing everything that you're planning to do, right? So, because the issue is, I don't think it's 70%, because if it was 70%, the ratio of this liquidity will be a lot higher compared to this chart. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's look at the chart. Look at this pie compared to the sum of these three pies, or these three slices. Is it 70%? It's about a quarter, not 70%.
No, I appreciate that, but then if we say we raised 2,000, for instance, and we put 1,700 in, then that should cover the initial progress of the project. We are looking to make money, obviously, and using our formula and having people in situ would do that. There is always a risk, as with every project, but we've taken advice from some pretty substantial people who know what they're talking about on liquidity. I take on board what you're saying too. And that was the advice that we were given, and that we've worked forward from. So yes, of course, if everyone decided to dump their tokens, wouldn't that be the same for just about every project? That if
No,
a majority
not
of the tokens,
necessarily, because say another project where most of the actual tokens and liquidity, like let's say currently this project, you only have 10% liquidity, and then you have about 40% tokens that are going into public circulation. So about half of the whole supply is going to be in circulation in the beginning, right? But if you have a project like a safe project, which is basically safe, I mean, like it's hard to rug, because even if people sell, the price won't drop too much. It's going to look more like at least 70-80% of all tokens are going into pre-sale and liquidity. And the liquidity percentage, like you were saying, it would be 70-80% of the pre-sale tokens. So when you have those kind of tokenomics, even if everyone sells, it's not going to drop more than 30-40% below pre-sale price. But when your liquidity is only a quarter of the tokens, then it could drop as probably as much as 75-80%, even more. And then that's not even including all these guys selling any of their tokens. And I'm sure people are selling, and they're also selling their staking tokens. And for marketing and development, for you to actually do marketing and development, you're going to have to sell those tokens also. You're not going to pay marketers with tokens. You're going to have to, at least most marketers, they take BNB or BUSD or fiat. Like, you're not going to buy a New York Times billboard with your token. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to, that's the only reason why you would have marketing development, is because you're going to be selling them at the appropriate times to get marketing and hopefully get a return on your investment. And that's another reason why a lot of projects fail, is because they pay for marketing and they don't really know how to market properly, or the marketing that they get is complete bullshit, and they don't get a return on investment. They go, oh yeah, we spent 200K on marketing, but then the chart is dumping. So it's like, where's that 200? At least, where's the buys then for the marketing you spent 200K in? You should at least get $1 million in volume and buy pressure.
Yeah, I think what will reduce that slightly is the 15% burn at launch. So that alters the mechanics slightly. With regards to
that just makes everything else higher, actually, because if you take this out at launch, it never actually entered into circulation, so it doesn't really mean anything. So basically, the 100% of the chart is not this chart; it's like all of this except the 15%. You know, so basically, the 85% is your 100%. So all these numbers are actually going up. So your seed round is actually higher, private sales higher, public sales higher, and liquidity is higher. So all those percentages would actually be higher, like relatively. But relatively, of course, it stayed the same to each other. But so the burns don't really do anything, especially if they happen at launch. They're only really effective if you buy back and burn, like if you actually remove tokens from circulation. But if they never enter circulation, they don't really do anything.
Okay, that's a good point. With regards to the marketing and development budget and the staking, etc., the smart contracts will be locked, so the community will have to okay any access. With regards to the tokens being sold, it's, like I said, we've listened to advice on that liquidity. If a lot of people dump and sell all the time, there's an issue which you see in a lot of projects at the moment. The reason we feel that we have the added ability to survive and continue is due to the other side of the tokenomics, which is the real world utility. Because once we get into the raising of money and making of money, that will be then going back into the project and into the tokenomics to increase volume, which will then obviously get your day traders buying and selling. If people dump, we assume that some people will buy at some time within this. There's always a situation, and no one can, talk their way around it. There's always a situation where if people dump, they can sink your project. Look what's happening in all of crypto at the moment. But we like to take a positive outlook. As I said, we've taken advice. We've balanced how we feel is a good set of tokenomics. With regards to the liquidity, if everything runs as a normal project should, we expect some people to sell their tokens. We also expect other people to see what we're trying to do and to come on board and buy the project. So yes, there are risks. There are risks in literally every project that you walk into. So whilst we've done what we can to mitigate as many of those risks as possible, I don't believe there is a project that is 100% secure and safe. And like I said, with regards to the dumping, if 75% of the liquidity is going into the pool, the liquidity pool, so I'm not sure how. I understand what you're saying about it being the possibility of everyone dumping the tokens and taking the price down. But if we're putting 75% of all our liquidity into the liquidity pool, I think we've got a good chance of making sure that we move forward and we are a successful project.
All right. So another thing I want to talk about is the taxes, right? Because this is the only way you're going to be able to buy these houses, right? Because so you're using taxes to buy property, and you're going to rent them out, and the revenues you're going to use to put back into the token, right? So if this is really the case for this, why is it only 1% tax for housing, 2% tax here, and BUSD rewards is so high? Like BUSD rewards, all that's going to do is just drain the money out of the project, because you're gonna have to buy BUSD with your taxes, and then you're gonna have to send that to the holders, and then you won't be able to afford. You know how much volume you actually need to buy a house at 1% tax? Have you guys done the calculations on that?
Yeah, I think these figures are based on the long-term structure of the company. No one expects a 1% buy or a 2% sale tax distribution to be purchasing properties to start with. So the figures that we've used is based on the long-term formula for the company moving forward. So whilst we are a fledgling project, of course 1% isn't going to purchase them, but then we're also going to be having the additional streams and building an ecosystem. And I think it's key to remember that this is a hybrid project. So whilst it's good to look at the token, you can't really isolate the token from the real world project, because the real world project will also bring revenue into the company and will also put revenue back into the token holders' pockets. So whilst these figures, the 4% and a 7% is a pretty standard figure for the amount of buy tax, sell tax distribution. If you look across the board for most tokens, they have even greater buy and sales tax, and they return even more.
Yeah, but it's not sustainable, because the volume just dies off. Especially the higher the tax, the lower the volume. So people don't understand that, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have 40%. Why not just make it 90% BUSD, tax? So you get taxed 90% and it's going to BUSD. Like, you think anyone's that project's gonna have volume? And of course, with zero tax, you're gonna have a lot more volume. So there's like some kind of sweet spot where your tax is low enough to where you have good volume, and it's high enough to where you actually generate taxes from the volume. Because, for example, let's say 10% tax. If you have 1 million volume with 10% tax, and you have only 200K with 20% tax, which tax is better, at the end of the day? 20% tax with 200K volume, or 10% tax with 1 million volume? You know what I mean?
No, of course. Obviously, you're absolutely correct. Obviously, with these figures, which is why if you think about it, 8% isn't a great number. We've tried to find the balance, and this is, as I said, something that we will go back to the community on from time to time, because as we grow, we appreciate that the figures can change and we can make those changes. But these figures are based around trying to find a balance between achieving volume, getting day traders involved, but also getting people on board that want to hold the token. There's no perfect recipe for this, or if there is, no one's found it yet. So we've started with this at this point. This is our starting point for the tokenomics of the token, but to look at them in isolation from the rest of the tokenomics, it can distort it slightly, but I appreciate with any token that has these aspects, then there are plus points and there are negative points. Nothing is a perfect system. So we've tried to keep the buy and sales taxes at a level that will bring people on board, get some volume in, but also entice certain people to hold. And that's what we want to do. Try and strike a happy medium, so to speak. But the key to this project is, and I think something else that needs to be clarified is this isn't the only revenue stream we plan to have. With regards to what Simon showed you, that can be white labeled and it can be, then leased out to other organizations to bring revenue in. We have a lot that we haven't been able to put into our documents yet because it's part of our roadmap moving forward that we will update. The key thing is creating additional revenue streams. So the be all and end all of this token isn't to drive the project forward. It is to assist in a change in the perspective of many people with regards to how crypto can work and can be amalgamated into a real world utility case that actually returns money back to the holders instead of the money only always going one way, which is from the crypto investors into the pockets of the dev team, and then no return coming back from what's being produced on that side. So with regards to the secondary and the tertiary tokenomics, that's what will also enable us to grow as a company. And obviously the additional utilities, there's other real world utilities that we haven't even discussed yet, but the project management software and the other things that we're looking with regards to our background in construction that we can add to the revenue streams. So this is one arm of a larger organization which is planning, like any normal business in the real world, to raise funds and then to return the funds back to the clients and back to the token holders by actually treating the token holders as what they actually are, which are investors in the project. And, if we start by putting 75% into the liquidity pool in total, then the rest of the tokens are bought and sold based on what's in the liquidity pool. So, whilst I think everyone would need to dump to put us in trouble, but then by the time, the reason we've put the vesting schedule in place is because we've done all of the hard work in the background so that we can utilize our formula from day one. So we should be generating revenue pretty quickly after we launch that will then be fed back as part of the secondary and tertiary tokenomics. So it's a hybrid project, but it's an encompassing project, and separating one area of the revenue doesn't cover the other areas that have been calculated and formulated over time, because we've not just come to this project overnight. This has been looked into for an extended period of time. So a majority of the revenue moving forward won't be volume based. At some point, if we get anywhere near where we want to get, the majority driver of rewards for you guys will be from the real world utility cases of the products that we have in development. We've shown you one that can be white labeled, but there are multiple others. So along with the crypto ecosystem that we plan to build and the real world utilities and use cases we have, the combination will combine to alleviate some of the issues that we have found in a purely rebased token.
Did you say a rebase token?
Yeah, it's not a rebase token, but it's based. I didn't mean rebase. I got the word wrong.
Okay. So I want to look at this thing real quick. So I see there's a secondary tokenomics ROI 500% and tertiary tokenomics ROI 500. So how are you going to get these 500% over 10 years? Because that's actually very, very great numbers. Even Warren Buffett can't get 500% in over 10 years.
But we've based our figures on looking at statistics in both crypto investments and in normal stock investments. I think you will agree with me that over a 10-year period, a 500% ROI on a crypto portfolio is achievable. Would you agree with that?
I mean, that's assuming that history is going to repeat itself and crypto is going to go up, after this, bear market. But we never know. I think the big fault, a big mistake investors make is they look at the previous performance and expect the same kind of gains in the future, which almost never really happens, especially like with Bitcoin. You know how Bitcoin went from like millions of percent from 2008 or 9, whatever it was, till now, right? But it started with no one really knowing about it, and now the whole world knows about it. So you think it's possible it's going to do another, 100x? I don't think so. So you can't.
Yeah, no, I accept that.
I mean, because I do algorithm trading, I make my own bots, and I could tell you right now, I could spend 5 minutes and I'll create a bot that made me, let's say, $10,000 account on 4x leverage, 200x leverage, whatever. Just basically $10,000 account, risking $100, $200 a trade. I'll make a bot that in the last 2 weeks would have performed, let's say, 2,000%. Would it went from $10,000 to 200K over a 2-week period, just purely algorithmically, just trading on its own, fully automatic. The thing is, this is easy to do with with the historic data, like last 2 weeks. But good luck repeating that in the next 2 weeks, in the future 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So it's easy to say, well, this worked in the past and it's going to work in the future, but that's not the case. So just because something happened and someone made like 100x on something, doesn't mean they're gonna be able to repeat it. Or else everyone will be millionaires and billionaires, right? It'll be a lot easier than in reality.
No, of course, you're absolutely correct. But it's if we look at a couple of basic truisms, which yet again, nothing in any marketplace is written in stone, but most market trajectories are upwards. Even when you get your bull and bear cycles, after a crash, you usually then get a recovery and an all-time high at some point. And yes, the law of diminishing returns as we get greater adoption, I accept all of that. I think Bitcoin, if you look over the life cycle, like you said, there's been a reduction in the ROI over that, but we're still only at a minimal adoption of crypto. I'm a great believer in crypto, and I believe that adoption will increase over time, and that's the basis I work on. With regards to that, I believe that based on the figures, and even moving forward, if you change that, there's great adoption. There's going to be other great projects that are out there. It's not just investing in the existing projects that are out there. There'll be other projects coming out. I think it is reasonable for anyone in this market to accept that a 500% return on investment over a 10-year period is actually quite a conservative figure overall, and that's not basing it solely on the exact figures that we used. What we've also taken into consideration is market growth. We've taken into consideration adoption, so an increased adoption of crypto. As I say all the time, absolutely everything could go wrong. Okay, everything could be against us, and we could hit trouble left, right, and centre. But even if we said that figure was 100% ROI, our payment plan is still a better option than what is currently on the market, because even if it was only 100%, it would still reduce the amount of time it would take for someone to own their own property. So we've based this on what we believe is a conservative figure. Like I said, the 500%. As I've always said, yes, you could be right. The market could, crypto could be gone in 5 years. I don't think it is. But if crypto's gone in 5 years, then all we would do is adapt and move back to the traditional market, because we have a long-term strategy and plan in place. Crypto, as far as I'm concerned, is here to stay, and it will grow in strength and in adoption. And I have based our primary concept on this, on taking what is out there and utilizing it for the benefit of as many people as possible. If adverse things happen, we have to be prepared to adapt and to overcome. There are many different ways of garnering revenue. All we would do is look to utilize them and take them on board and make sure that we still offered maybe not as lucrative an opportunity for our client base, but certainly an opportunity for our client base that is better than is currently on the market.
All right. Okay, so I have one more question for you guys, and we only have 30 minutes because we have another AMA, and so I want to wrap it up fairly quickly because we got to do the giveaway still. So you guys are all here, right? On the team, you have your LinkedIn. Most of you have your socials on here. So my question is, have you guys been on a video chat yet? Has the community seen any of these guys?
Yeah, we did.
Todd Hart.
What's that?
We were with Todd Hart on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll come on video now. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I'll come on video now.
And is your company already has registration, and where? Do you have a link?
Well, can you see me? I've stuck my video on.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one without. I'll take the glasses just to make sure you can see I am. This is me. I'm real. I'm the same chap as the picture. We've done a live video with Todd Hart. Is the rest of the team happy to show their faces? Guys, you crack on.
1 second.
Hey, Simon.
Okay, no rug, sir. No rug.
That's Paul.
Also here. Hair's a bit messy. It's 3 a.m. in Asia, so at the end of the day.
Your boy's in the background. Yeah,
Cool.
so we're all real people. The company's registered in the UK. You can check it on Companies House. With regards to, we're also part of, what is it, Simon? You go ahead and tell them the legal representations we have in the UK.
Yeah, you guys are supposed to chat.
Yeah, I'm obviously NRLA registered, which is the National Landlord Association. We're ICO registered as well. And for those that don't know what that means, here in the UK, you have to have a governing body that ensures that everything's legal as well. But it's not anything adhered to the legals of the estate agency. It's actually an information commissioner's office. Now, their main role is the UK's independent authority, which is, I suppose, set up to uphold information rights in the public interest, which promotes openness by public bodies and data privacy for those individuals as well.
All right. Let's see what else is there. Okay, so like not right now, but like later on. I see you have there's an address. 22nd Wenlock Road. Is that the company registration address?
That is the company registration address, yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Awesome. Okay, yeah, well, you guys are going to be doing the sale for a while, right? You said like August or September for pre-sale. So it's going to be quite a while still, quite a ways out before you launch.
We're working through the dates now. Obviously, due to the market conditions, it's looking like it's delayed. The first delay was because we wanted to put an APY on the vesting schedule, and that obviously took time. Now the market is what it is, but we believe as well that the people in the marketplace at the moment that are willing to invest are the serious investors, and it's also, you know, gives a lot more upside for people. It's harder to get people to obviously commit to invest in, but the ones that you do get to commit are usually the people that know their business, you know, and that helps a lot. So we're going to have a conversation, but it could be a lot sooner than that. It might not be. I can't give a specific date, but I would think before August. At the moment, as is, we're looking to go on reflex with the pre-sale starting in July, to be honest. But, you know, everything's up in the air, as hopefully you can appreciate with the attacks on crypto that are ongoing.
And do you have any consideration for the launch pad? You said reflex. Is that set in stone, or could you go? Are you open to other launch pads also?
Yeah, open to others. Apollo.
Okay.
Apollo is another one. Obviously, yeah, we want to. Reflex, we said from day one, because like I said, we've been really lucky because there's a lot of people out there can see what we're trying to do, and we've had a lot of help from a lot of established projects already. We've got a lot of collaborations going on with a lot of existing projects in the BSC world, and we feel truly blessed to have their assistance and their backing. That's why we think we're on the right track with, because everything that we have has been talked through with existing projects that you guys would find reliable, considering, you know, as I said, the guy that helped us with the LP and everything is a member of your group as well as being the CEO. So
Who is that person that's helping you with LP?
It was EJ Bolf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah,
but honestly, I do think that we need to go. You need to touch bases with him, because I'm not sure, or what I've seen, if those numbers are correct for 70% liquidity. You know what I mean? Because basically, to get that percentage of liquidity, you need the amount of tokens. You know, roughly the amount of tokens need to be reserved, and you can't get 70-80% liquidity of raised funds if you only have 25% of the tokens. You know what I mean? Or that means the token price will be completely off.
No, I think what it is 75% of the liquidity. The way it was explained to me was, if we put 75% of the liquidity raised off of the tokens into the liquidity pool, that would be a solid base to start from, because obviously the price is then dictated by the amount of tokens and the amount of BNB you put in the pool.
What I'm trying to say is, if you raise 3,500 BNB, right, 3,500 BNB, and you're going to put 70% of that BNB into liquidity pool, so let's just say roughly 2,000 out of 3,500, you're going to need those tokens to match that amount of tokens, and 10% of it's not enough. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need more than 10% of tokens to match that $2,000 in BNB for the liquidity. The ratio just doesn't seem like it's right to me. I'm thinking you're going to need a higher percentage of tokens for liquidity to match that 70% of BNB being raised. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, I appreciate that, and obviously we'll go back and check with him, or we'll have a conversation with you, because, like I said, we are custodians of the concept, but it belongs to all of us, and we're not ignorant. We know there are people out there with different viewpoints and different aspects. If you feel that what we're doing is the right thing, we will take any advice that helps us achieve our goals. And so we'll go back to EJ again, but you know, we had someone in the AMA yesterday give us some advice, and it's good advice, so we'll take it on board. Hopefully you can appreciate no project is fully formed from its inception. And when you get good people all pulling in the right direction, you can only make a project better. And that's how we see it. You know, we're doing everything we can to secure the project and give people peace of mind, because we was advised to lock the contract and the LPs through third parties and only have the community allow us to access it. So we've done all that. You know, Shield Coin, we've been in touch, but you have to wait, as I said, till there's data so they can work out where to put you. You know, we're doing everything we can. We're locking our tokens. You know, the whole idea is, like I said, we're trying to be a true cooperative. And that's why we're using the real world use cases and the profits that we generate from that to funnel back into you guys, the investors, because that's how it should be. And it doesn't happen enough. But if we all work together, we can build something that changes the minds of people, because it shows your average person how what we all love, which is crypto, how it can benefit them. And if we can show them how we can benefit them, it will bring across adoption. And if we can increase adoption, it makes what we all believe in, you know, have a greater chance of succeeding and taking over the current system, which needs to happen because the current system's bankrupt.
Yes, I agree. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. Let's do real quickly if any quick questions from the community, because I know we've been talking a lot, and you know we answered a lot of the issues. We did talk a lot of the concerns and the questions in the community. But is there anything else anyone wants to ask?
Cool. If I could just add quickly, as I did briefly mention, the seed round's still open. You can access that at outoken.org. Fill in the form and you'll be contacted once you're whitelisted. Still trying to fill the final spots of the seed, but they're going quite quick. But yeah, I do need to shoot now because it's approaching 3 a.m. and I'm up in a couple of hours. But I'm sure Scott and the team will be happy to answer any questions. But thank you so much for having me. And I will I'll catch up on the remainder in the AMA in the on the record that you put out.
Yeah. Of course, no problem, man. Yeah, take care. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys. Bye now.
All right. So, any community members have any quick questions? I know you guys were saying, had comments in the chat, and I think most of them have been addressed already or brought up. So, is there anything I missed? Three, two, one. All right, let's go. Let's go wrap it up. You guys want to go do like the final conclusion? I know, of course, everyone in here, please join the Telegram. This is a long-term project, so we're here early. This is just the beginning, like just to have a couple months of more pre-sales and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. Definitely interesting to follow along. I still got to look into it. I'm still like a little skeptical about, for example, the actual utility and how long it'll take, like with the 1% buy tax only for houses. I would actually get rid of the whole BUSD reflections completely, because if you're a real company, you don't need those kind of reflections. That's like a gimmick to get to quote unquote incentivize holders to hold. But those taxes dry up anyways, and that's not going to prevent people from selling. What's really going to prevent people from selling is buy pressure. And there's no substitute for buy pressure. No gimmick is gonna convince people to buy. The devs have to convince them to buy. Like, okay, like we're actually buying a house. That's what people will buy. When you have first house bought, when you have the first maybe like 20% down or 50% down that you need to buy the house. So I would actually say just take all the taxes to affordable housing to buy the houses, because that is the main use case. All the other stuff is just kind of bullshit in my opinion. I mean, up to you, but that's my suggestion.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I take on board what you said, but with regards to the real world utility, it's pretty straightforward. And with regards to the BUSD, it's the focusing on the 1% is ignoring the way that the structure of the project is set up. That 1%, of course, like I said before, we're not going to build houses. on 1% in the beginning, but it's a project that is based on a long-term vision. And whilst you can take a snapshot of the project at the start and say, oh, this isn't enough of this, this isn't enough of that, it's not taking into account how the project is set up. With regards to the real world utility, you're absolutely right. When we put someone in situ in a property and we show that our product works, then our adoption will come. And we're not doing anything outside of what already exists in the marketplace. So it purely is with regards to the funding. With regards to the tokenomics, it's not a gimmick, it's to offer additional rewards to the people who are investing. We've got 6 different investment reward structures. 2 of them are based on the original tokenomics. The rest come from the secondary tokenomics. So I would encourage everyone to have a look through the documentation. You can ask us additional questions because we're here. We are still early, but we are all, you know, we've been in the fields that we work in for an extremely long time. This project has been thought out over a long period of time. We know that the figures we have are based on what is currently happening in the marketplace, and how we've achieved those figures is not through an arbitrary number, it's through crunching data and coming up with those figures. So I appreciate that people will be skeptical. You'll always get people that are skeptical. What I would ask people to do is take a look at the structure of what we're trying to do. Ask us more questions specifically on what it is we're trying to do, and hopefully we can all move forward together. Or you can watch from the sidelines, see what we're doing, and then when you're happy with what we're doing and you understand it fully, feel free to jump on board. We're trying to make a difference not only in the crypto space, but in the real world, and bring utility to people that really need it. And we believe this is what crypto was created for. We've taken on advice from multiple different CEOs from multiple different projects. They've had their feedback, they've had their input. We've utilized that, we've taken that on board, and we've come out with where we are today. We're always willing to make additional amendments. So if you have any advice that you feel will help benefit us and help benefit the space in general, you know, just pop over, let us know, and we're more than willing to talk. And thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for coming here. Definitely a unique project. It's different than what normally see around in the space. So I do appreciate that. And I think at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to adoption and buy pressure and marketing. And if if people know about this, then it's going to definitely be successful. But if you have the best idea in the world but no one knows about it, then it's not going to do anything. So it's all going to come down to just market and adoption, and just spread of the knowledge and information about your project. So thanks again. I'm going to end the recording right here, and we'll be doing the giveaway. So thanks.